constituents individually.
So we're here today because we caught wind of this flyer that you sent out. Tell me about it. What was the motivation behind it?
Well, I just wanted to set the record straight about many things that have been said during the campaign and some experiences that I've had. And I wanted people to understand exactly what we're dealing with.
Dig deeper into that for me. Why the reference to the movie and mentions of Master and things like that?
Well, I think the movie depicts what depth some people will go to please the people who pay them, sponsor them, promote them, give them power and prestige. They'll do whatever it takes to keep that. And I thought we saw that demonstrated in that movie.
So are you calling him an Uncle Tom?
No, I called him Stephen.
But the reference to the movie is an Uncle Tom.
No, in the movie, I think we saw characters that played roles. And if you saw that movie, there were no good and bad people by ethnicity. There were just good and bad people, and nobody was all good, nobody was all bad. But some people did some very treacherous things.
Why use this kind of language? Why use this kind of language?
What kind of language?
Well, sorry, someone's phone. Here you said voters must decide by July 26th to re-elect a fighter or elect a sellout. And then later you say he works for his master and that the sole reason that he has their support is to keep Candyland under their control for their benefit, not yours.
I think that is absolutely true. This person has been able to amass an enormous amount of money. He's new to community service. It's as if he were staged. 4 years coming into the election, he's suddenly in organizations that he had never been a part of. He has support from people outside of his district and outside of the party that he purports to represent, supporting him, who clearly say that they are Republicans supporting Steve. He has the endorsement of people who, the same people who support Nancy Jester. You see two commissioners who not only gave to his campaign but raised money for his campaign. It's clearly an effort to put their person in here, their person. Even when he talks about his employment and what he does, it changes from form to form. Sometimes he identifies himself as a soldier and a teacher and a businessman. And then in one form, he says that he works for Delta and he's a business developer or a land developer. And you know, all of these things that have come to pass. And I mentioned in there that I was told that they were going to find their own candidate and put them in there in the race against me, and that's what happened. So I think that language represents what happened in this race, and I think it's indicative of what happens in this county and in many places across the nation. I think it's disingenuous to think that those type of things don't happen, to think that things are above board in politics and all of a sudden I'm the bad guy. When you see someone who's bought and paid for their election, paid for, didn't have to work, didn't have to serve in the community, didn't even have to raise his own money. Everything was given. Even when you look back to who his campaign manager is, it's the same as Kathy Gannis and Burl Evans. Everything's given because he has a job to do, and that's to please them. It's to work against the people who live in the 4th district. All of his positions on resource allocation for the 4th district, job development for the 4th district, economic development for the 4th district, investment in youth for the 4th district. All of his positions match with those people outside of this district who think that that investment shouldn't be here. He was opposed to the library. He was opposed to the Youth Leadership Academy. He was opposed to the Government Center. He was opposed to the soccer center. He was opposed to a music festival. Anything that's good for this district, he's opposed to. Well, what is he for? He vaguely talks about economic development, but he doesn't say how or even where. He ridicules studies and plans that were made for Memorial Drive. That was the economic center, one of the economic centers of this county. It needs to be brought back. But you're gonna make fun of it? And then you say you don't see any disparity? He said this, he didn't see any disparity between North DeKalb and South DeKalb. Anybody, a blind man can see the disparity. The question is what to do about it. It's a lot more complicated and it takes a lot more commitment and know-how to make that difference. Now, we have 3 people on this commission who's not interested in making that commitment, making that distinction, allocating the resources to make this whole county better.
So you're talking about Raider, Gannon, and Jester?
Jester. I believe that this whole county is valuable and we all should be doing well. And I'm not talking about individual well. I know you see that there's some wealthy people over here, there are people over here who are not doing well. But I'm talking about this area so that there won't be such a decline in property values. So that there are restaurants to go to over here, we don't have to drive across town. So that there are recreational facilities. So that there are libraries. Who can deny a group of people a library and think that that's okay and that it's a want and not a need? He said that, and Nancy Chester said that. Well, where are he getting his values? Then he said, well, I'm for libraries. There's one near my house. Is that what we're really talking about? We're talking about the quality, a 21st century library, a library that meets the needs of the population that's here now, not the oldest library in the system that's on its last leg, and there's no room for expansion, that is so old that it will be hard to even bring it up to code if we went in and start renovating it. I mean, these are important things. So when I see this man, he wants to run on the topic of ethics when he's doing such unethical things himself. And you know I sent you that video that was made. He did embellish his military career. I mean, how do you do that? What ethical person does that? I'm the widow of a military officer who was a company commander. So when he started bragging about what he had done and talking about leading troops into war and all of those things that he was exaggerating about, I knew that there was a problem there. I've been around officers. I've never met one who went around bragging. So I knew that there was a problem there. There are a lot of problems here.
We asked him about his military career. He says that you're incorrect. He stands by what he said so far. You obviously disagree.
We have it on tape, and we have it written. This is what he sent. And I think he just forgot when he was cutting and pasting, forgot to delete this sentence. But this shows you what he was saying. He just typed an additional paragraph at the bottom. You can read it.
What's the disparity? You trading with the stuff that's highlighted?
Mm-hmm.
Starting right here.
Okay. I guess I'm not really following what you're saying. You think he meant to delete this line that says, I defy anyone to produce any document?
No, go a little bit higher to that.
I left the Army in 1990.
Yeah, I read that, but
Read it.
I've read it twice. I'm still not following what you guys want me to follow, so just tell me.
He says that I'll read it to you.
He says that. He says.
I left the Army.
I left the Army in 1993 to pursue private sector opportunities prior to returning to a line unit as a company commander.
Okay.
These are the facts. So he said it was prior to returning to a line unit as a company commander.
I can't remember what year he told me he got out. I asked him today.
But he still said he was a company
The point
commander.
is, he says he's a company commander.
He told us today that he was.
He was not a company
But the whole
commander.
argument is that he's not.
I know, but I feel, honestly, when it comes down to it, voters aren't gonna get into this tit for tat, right?
No, this isn't
With
about,
the voters, no, but let's be honest, what this
uh-huh.
really is about is the election and representing the people of DeKalb
It's
County.
about honesty and integrity. You cannot be dishonest about your military service and call yourself someone who has integrity. People died for this country. People work hard and make tremendous sacrifices for those promotions and to be able to lead and be a company commander.
So if that's your message, why not use this flyer to say that instead of what you have said? Because when we talked to voters just moments ago about this flyer, a lot of them didn't understand it. They didn't understand why you're not talking about the issues, but you're talking about your opponent.
Oh, I've talked about issues this whole
I know, but
campaign.
they're reacting to what you just put out.
This is a specific one. This isn't the first thing I've put out. I've talked about issues. Now, my opponent has never talked about issues. He says in the forums that, well, I'm a newcomer. I don't understand. I don't know. I'm not an insider. I talk about issues. I ran on my issues. He's run a campaign on smear and slandering my name. All he's talked about is integrity. We're going to change the conversation. We need new leadership. Well, what do you bring to the table? Lying about your military career? And there may be some people who don't understand it, but veterans understand it loud and clear. And it's an insult to our heroes who have protected our country.
So if you can, real quick, say something to the voters in DeKalb County who are going to be expected, hopefully, to go to vote on Tuesday. We know there's normally a low turnout for these runoff elections. What do you want to say to them? What do you want them to know?
I want them to know that I have fought for them and I have won. Our area was underserved. Now there is money allocated for things that we have needed. I fought hard for that and won it. I had the interpersonal skills to make it happen. So now we have money to build a library. We have money to build a center in Toby Grant that we've been fighting for years. We have money allocated for a senior center to study to build a new senior center here, right here in this district. We're the only district that doesn't have one. We were the only district that didn't get new libraries out of the bond money, even though it was recommended by the library board. We have new sidewalks coming right here down Rock Ridge Road. Those are some of the tangible things that I've done. The Wade Walker the Wade Walker YMCA. That's something that I fought for and won. Building a youth leadership academy that addresses the needs of our youth, gives them something to do during the summer and guidance through the rest of the year. Those are things that I've done. Helping to create the Division of Youth Services. Chairing the Budget Committee, going to Wall Street to fight to get us a better bond rating. Our bond rating had gone to 0 as Chair of Finance, Audit, and Budget. And when I was serving as the presiding officer, I went to Wall Street and testified, which led to us being able to refund those bonds and save $24 million. That's experience. I've worked through supervising the allocation of money for the building of our new water treatment plant. I've worked through supervising the allocation of money to get us off of the consent decree. Those things are important, and you need someone who, with experience, who has the interest of the people of this district at heart, who will fight to make sure that the distribution of resources are spread across the entire county and that the people here get their fair share. I take care to make sure that I support people all over this county.
So you just want them to remember your track record?
I want them to remember and know what I've done, absolutely, because I've worked hard. I've been very successful in making sure that District 4 was protected and that we received our fair share of attention, resources, and that economic development is coming here and we won't be left out. You can see progress right now in this district with economic development. With the plan that was put in place that I took a part in developing and moving on to implementation is already happening. So when someone comes and talks about, oh, the county is so bad, there's nothing good going on here, it's not true. It's all getting better. And you know, there were people who did some bad things. They went to prison. But they want to paint me with that same brush. It's not true. It's just so ironic to me that Mr. Bradshaw it's constantly talking about corruption.